everybody, here we are back with the Apocrypha adventure card game. And we're still in Candlepoint, and we are playing the Faust Company game scenario tonight. I've chosen this one because it is, again, played differently with a different Nexus setup, because unlike, for example, the Lord of the Rings LCG, which I've played plenty of times on my channel, where you usually have a whole deck that you go through. There are differences sometimes, but mainly you have like the challenge deck and you just go through it. And usually you have different locations in this game, and you move from location to location. Sometimes you can only move the way you're told you can move, but sometimes, or mostly, you can move freely. But in this particular setup, the game is a lot more like the LCG, the Lord of the Rings LCG, in that we only have one place where we're at, and we have two decks with challenges or confrontations in them. And we are at the theatre, and the lowdown reads as follows. An out-of-town director debuts a Midsummer Cirque-like production of Marlowe's The Tragical History of Dr. Faustus. Due to the stunts, theatregoers must sign a waiver on their way into the theatre, but no one needs to be contractually bound to love this production. It's a two-act show, and the director promises that by intermission you'd sell your soul to see the second act. Now, the director is called Crystal Mephistopheles, and that is her. And the way the deck is constructed, or the way the game is played, it's played in two acts. In Act 1, the Nexus never flips and it's always on hope, so everybody's still hopeful this is going to be the biggest production of all time. And you have this deck of cards. The deck has been constructed in such a way that you take the theatre deck that you would normally construct for this Nexus, and you construct, in our case, 3 of these decks. You seed them with several bystanders and Crystal Mephistopheles in there, and then you go through the deck. You have still got 24 omens on the clock, and when you reach Crystal Mephistopheles, when you get your first minion A, which is a bystander in this case, you can go to Sanctify if you win. You will then sacrifice all of the remaining bystanders, and you will only then face Crystal Mephistopheles, because it says here, if your Nexus is sealed, search it and sacrifice any non-master archetype cards, and if you find any master archetype cards, set them aside, and your Nexus is not sealed, shuffle them in together and put them back in the Nexus. Since there's only the one, we would then just go straight to confronting her, and then we would move on to the second act. So, and this, as you can see, this deck is quite big. It contains 9 threats, 9 mind gifts, 6 soul gifts, and 3 bystanders, and Mephistopheles herself, or Crystal as we call her in the office. Okay, so it's Ruby Doomsday. Just going to give her hand one more shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And she's got very nice stuff. We've got Alice Moon, and we're going to give her hand another shuffle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And lastly we have, and she has an omen, and lastly we have Gabriela Vargas, and likewise we will shuffle her deck and draw 5 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In the theatre, you can recycle 1 card when you investigate to gain 1 charm, to gain charm 1. Let's see, I think everybody has charm. Yeah, they do. So this doesn't really help us, but you know, still. So first of all, Ruby is going to draw an omen, and it's an omen of doom. So we don't flip the Nexus, but of course the relevant instructions still hold. So it says, in Evaluate Trash, the highest mind die. So let's see what we find. And we find Memory Killer. So she's gonna, since she has to trash the highest mind die, we're going to take body instead. And we're not terribly bothered. If we get 11, that's fine. And we don't. So we don't get the memory killer, which is a piece of, well, it's some kind of medicine. And then she can't do anything else. So we pass the turn over to Alice, and Alice plays an Omen of Doom Gut Punch in damage first, bury one card, and she encounters a Star Clock, which is a support phase. You can sacrifice it in the support phase to draw one new Omen of Hope. Well, that's not too bad. I mean, it's 10 mind, and she has 4 mind dice plus 2 study. 10 should be doable, and it is. She gets 12, so I don't know if this is one card that I would actually keep, but it's better for her because then she has a nice hand. So we're just gonna, and she's gonna investigate again. If it's a gift avoided, then sorry, what was the... Yeah, we didn't take any damage. Okay, we need to avoid it because it's a gift, and then we get to investigate again, and it's a memory stick. 1, so she's going to use mind. For this one, she doesn't have hack, and she doesn't get it. But again, we're not too bothered because that's a one-time use only. It's nice, but it's not really, you know, we have other ways of boosting our mind. And then she passes the turn, but she gets to look at the top 2 cards, and it is a scrapbook and a glad hander. Okay. So it's Gabriella. She draws a card, an omen, and it is the Omen of Poverty. In Evaluate versus a gift, trash the highest die. We know that this is a gift. She's going to use her mind and hack. And she doesn't get it. She would have to trash this, so it's still only 5, so she doesn't get it. Move these out of the way. And she has another Omen, which she's going to play. If it's a gift, avoid it. We know it isn't. It's a glad hander, and she's going to use her mind and her charm. And we're going to... Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. She's looking, oh, she's looking for 15. So we are going to, yeah, we're going to use our mutation number 2. And that is swarming. Great. And we rolled a 1. Avoid this threat and confront, and somebody else needs to confront a copy of this threat. So she doesn't get to do it. It gets shuffled back in. So now we're going to give this one to Alice. She's going to use her charm and her mind, and she is going to, yeah, she has help, so yeah. And easily with 15, the omen doesn't do anything, does it? No, it doesn't, because we're talking about gift omens, so she managed to do it, but this gets shuffled in because it was an avoid. So that was less good. And she still has another omen, Gabriella does. And she draws a card, and it is the another Star Clock. And she gets it with 10. So that's her last omen. And she draws back up to 5. And it's over to Ruby, who draws an omen. And it is an Omen of Pain. In Evaluate, trash the highest rage die. And it is it's the glad hander, maybe the same one or another one, but she's still meeting those weird people, probably in the intermission between between the prelude and Act 1, and they keep kind of like looking at her weirdly. And she's not really well equipped to deal with them at all, so she's going to use Soul, 2 and 1 bonus die for Charm. And she's gonna bring in her muscle. She's got her friend Sue Ellen with her. And Sue Ellen is going to, well, you know, she is going to show them what's what. And we'll see what happens. We're looking for 12. And we get 15. So Sue Ellen has definitely shown them where the door is and they leave. We can't investigate any further. So we draw back up to 5. And it is now Alice. And Alice draws an omen. And it's an omen of pain. In Evaluate Trash the highest rage die. And she finds a Wolfram cube. And she should be able to get this one. And she does with 14. She takes the Wolfram cube. And she can't investigate any further. So she's going to take one card and she's going to, yeah, she's going to just recycle one card. She has too many cards in her hand. And she is going to take a look at the top 2 cards, and it's a minion and it is a grifter. So if we manage to overpower the bystander, we can go in and get Crystal Mephistopheles and confront her straight away. So it's an omen of doom. Flip your nexus to doom and investigate it. You cannot play powers to avoid. So we're going to take this. We don't want to avoid the minion anyway. So the bystander. We're going to look at body in this case. Well, it doesn't really make any difference. Yeah, so we're going to use body and charm. Yeah. We're looking for 10. And we get 10. So we managed to confront him and to win. So now we can try and seal the nexus, for which we would need Soul Conjure 12. So we're going to give this one to Alice. And she's going to use the Twitchcraft to boost her soul by 1. We're looking for 12. And that's just enough, 12. So we've now managed to seal it. So now we have to go through it and find the master, which we can do easily because she's somewhere in here. There she is. So we're going to confront her. Well, actually, no, we don't. So she's going to happen on our next turn. So that's how this works. We still, she's now shuffled back into the nexus, which in this case means she's the top card because that's the only card left. So, and that one, the honor will be, oh God, the honor will be rubies, and that's terrible because it's either mind or soul. Okay. So first of all, we draw an omen, and it is an omen of hope. In avoid, you may avoid. Well, we will actually avoid this because we don't want her to face it. And we're going to give this one to our friend Alice, who's going to draw an omen. It's an omen of doom. Suffer 1 body or rage damage, then flip your... She doesn't have either. So she loses a Wolfram cube, and she's going to encounter Miss Mephistopheles. So, we're going to use mind, because mind is lower. It's only 16. She has 1 additional die for charm. It says here, You may display a gift of any virtue to add 1 matching die. And we're going to use the magic mason jar because it means we have to sacrifice it afterwards. So that's fine. We have a Mondrian cell that can help us to lower it by 1 or 2. Gabriella can help. She can help in many ways. And can Ruby Doomsday do anything? Yeah. We are not going to mutate this card because I simply don't want to expose myself to this. We're looking for 16. Okay, we've got 6, 5, that's 11, that's 15. Okay, so we can do this in various ways. We're going to do this easily. We're going to use the Mondrian cell and we're going to roll a die. It's an even result, so we get to reduce the target's confrontation value by 2. So we're looking at a confrontation value of 14 and we have 15. So we have actually managed to outsmart Crystal Mephistopheles. She's not as intelligent as she thought she was, but we have to sacrifice this gift. And now we get to shuffle her into the second act. Oops, no, that's her. We don't want to shuffle her in. We want to shuffle this in. And as you can see, this can take a long time if all of the minions are quite far down, or it can go really quickly if one of the minions is quite at the top, because then you can win against them and try and confront her straight away. Okay, so that was Alice's turn. She's going to draw back up to 6 and she's going to use her power to look at the top 2 cards. And there, this is funny, it's her. Okay, so I did shuffle. Okay, I'm going to shuffle this again because that's kind of like anticlimactic. If she's the first card we encounter, then that's kind of boring. I'm going to try this again. So, and it is a minion and it is another minion. So, because in the second part we will be facing 5 minion cards. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, actually 6 minion cards. So, yeah, it's now on Doom, and it is now Gabriella. Evaluate versus a threat, increase your mind and soul targets by 1. So that's really bad when we're confronting Miss Crystal. So we're going to draw a card. It's an omen of recycle 1 random card. So just going to take just any card, puts it away. And then we investigate. We know exactly what's going to happen because we're going to meet one of the bystanders. And they now have an 11 for mind and soul, for mind, or a 12 for soul. So we're going to go for body, which is still 4, and we're going to use charm. And we are going to try and get 10. And we got 14. So the bystander is done and dusted. So we've basically muscled our way through. And now we can confront Miss Mephistopheles. We just skip through the whole thing. So she's now the only card in the Nexus. But we can't do anything about that just now because it's a new turn. And also, this is now at 17 or 18. And Ruby is not very good at this type of interaction. So she's going to draw an omen. And she's going to, yeah, she's going to not play it, and she's going to recycle it because there is no point in her playing. But let's see. So it's now Alice, and Alice is going to draw an omen. Yeah, and we're going to play this. Flip your nexus. Okay, so we're going to confront her using our 4 mind, using our 1 charm. We are going to display the business suit to add 1 bonus die. To add 1 die. And if we win, we need to sacrifice it. We have stuff that helps us during evaluate. Yeah. Okay, so we're going to try this. We're looking for 17. Okay, we've got 13. So we have a delta of 4. And we are going to play Runic Blade. We're going to re-roll the 3, which gives us a 5. So re-roll 1 die, upgrade 1 die. So we're going to upgrade it to 6. Downgrade 1 die. We're going to downgrade the 3 to a 2. And then we're going to flip 1 die. And that gives us 18. And we win. So that was a very, and this one gets sacrificed, so she cannot have this one back. And this is the end of Crystal Mephistopheles. We have actually found out that the reason why people are so interested in her play is that she's actually dealing drugs, and we have been able to find that out, and she is now been apprehended. So now let's take a good look. Oh, we should have sealed this first. Suffered 2 mind damage. Or did we seal the other one? Okay, well, yeah, we would have been able to do this. She would have suffered 2 mind damage. Okay, so now we take a look at the fragments. Fleeting fragment, the book. You don't know why you're still carrying it around. The thing must weigh 5 pounds and you only have so much space in your backpack. It's not even a whole book, just a tattered piece of water-stained printout. But you read it when no one's looking, and at night you lie awake with that piece of story stuck in your head like a song. You wonder how it started, you wish you knew how it would end. Assemble, sacrifice, add 1 bonus die for each fleeting fragment in their halo. If they fail the check, they sacrifice 1 random. That's a really good card. Then let's take 3 more from the deck. The afternoon tea. His scaled pinky finger curled up as he lifted the delicate cup. I was surprised to receive your invitation. His lips suddenly curled back across his sharp teeth, hissing. What sort of trick is this? This cup is empty. Of course you chirped. We're just pretending, silly. Evaluate versus a charm or soul gift. Sacrifice, upgrade all dice. Not too bad. The desire to help. Her hands were the finest of any surgeon in practice today. Your condition so rare, so intricate. The task fell to her alone. Yet you seem to be the only one to notice the tremors, the twitches, from fear or excitement. Yes, she intoned, her cadence offering no clues as the anesthetic took hold in you. Something new. Sacrifice so that somebody can heal their discard pile. Definitely a keeper. And lastly, the reincarnate. True rebirth is so much finer than any preacher's bath and invocation. You know a proper return requires death and darkness, a moment on the wheel, and a moment of screaming speed, and then your eyes open into a new world, a finer body, difficult but new. Stretch your mouth wide and feel the seeds of new fangs deep in your jaw. Sacrifice for the active player to heal 3 and then discard 1 card. yeah, we're going to keep these, and we're not going to take the afternoon tea. And we're going to give the reincarnation one. Somehow I associate with Gabriella, because to me her becoming a 1%er biker chick is kind of like a rebirth. So I'm going to give her this one. Then we have the desire to help. That's Alice. And she can heal her discard pile. And then lastly we have the book. And that's kind of like a printout. That's the kind of book that, you know, she wouldn't read books. Ruby Doomsday doesn't have books. She has printouts. So that's the end. I will already set up for the next game because I like to do this. Lots of people talk about long setup times in this game. I actually don't think that this is the case. I think it's just a question of doing it straight away before you, you know, I set up and reconstruct the deck straight away. I don't wait up for the next game to start because then it means I can just pick the mission and get going. So I hope you found this entertaining. I can really recommend this game, and I wish you all a pleasant day. Bye-bye.